Yasmina Dobre had learned to make herself invisible, but today desperation made her loud. The fluorescent lights of the university hospital flickered above her as she gripped the edge of the reception desk, her voice rising in Arabic, sharp and pleading. Her grandmother's breathing had worsened overnight. The surgery couldn't wait, but the hospital demanded payment up front, and Yasmina had nothing but empty promises and a heart full of fear. "Please," she said, switching to Romanian, her accent thick with exhaustion. "I can pay in installments. My grandmother is 73. She doesn't have time." The receptionist's expression was stone. "Policy is policy, Miss Dobry." Yasmina's hands trembled. She wore her cleaning uniform beneath a thin jacket. She'd come straight from her shift at the restaurant, where she scrubbed floors wealthy diners never looked at. Her younger siblings were home, waiting. They always waited. For food, for hope, for her to fix everything. She turned away, swallowing the lump in her throat, and nearly collided with a man in a tailored gray suit. "Excuse me," she muttered in Romanian, stepping aside. But he didn't move. "You speak Arabic," he said. Not a question, a statement. His voice was calm, measured, with an accent she couldn't place. Yasmina looked up. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with dark eyes that seemed to assess her in a single glance. Behind him stood two men, silent and watchful, their posture too rigid to be casual. "Yes," she said cautiously. "My grandmother is Lebanese." He studied her for a moment longer than was polite. "You speak it fluently?" "Fluently enough." She shifted her weight, uncomfortable under his scrutiny. "Why?" "I need a translator," he said. 2 weeks, full-time. I'll pay you 3,000 euros. Yasmina's breath caught. 3,000 euros. That was more than she made in 4 months at the restaurant. It was her grandmother's surgery. It was food. It was breathing room. "Who are you?" she asked. "Someone who needs your skills," he replied smoothly. "My name is Faisal. I'm here on business. And you?" "Yasmina." Her voice was barely a whisper. "Why me?" "Because," he said, glancing toward the reception desk, "you're the first person I've heard speak Arabic with actual emotion in this city." Yasmina should have said no. She should have asked more questions, demanded references, insisted on a contract. But when Faisal handed her a business card with only a phone number and the words, "cultural consultant," she took it. When he told her to meet him the next morning at the Intercontinental Hotel, she nodded. When he asked if 3,000 euros was enough, she said yes before her pride could argue. That night, she sat at the kitchen table in her cramped apartment staring at the card. Her siblings were asleep in the next room, their breathing soft and steady. She thought of her mother who had died 2 years ago, leaving Yasmina to hold everything together. She thought of her grandmother who had taught her Arabic through stories and songs, who was now lying in a hospital bed because Yasmina couldn't afford to save her fast enough. She thought of Faisal's eyes, dark, unreadable, but not unkind. The next morning, Yasmina arrived at the Intercontinental wearing the only dress she owned that wasn't stained or frayed. It was navy blue, simple and too big for her thin frame. She felt like an imposter the moment she stepped into the marble lobby. Faisal was waiting near the elevator, flanked by the same 2 men from the hospital. He wore a different suit, charcoal this time, and looked like he belonged in a magazine. When he saw her, his expression didn't change, but something in his gaze softened. "Yasmina," he said. "You came. I need the money," she said bluntly. "What do you need me to do?" He gestured toward the elevator. "Come, we'll discuss it upstairs." The men followed them in silence. Yasmina noticed they wore earpieces and moved with military precision. She noticed the way other guests in the lobby glanced at Faisal with a mix of curiosity and deference. She noticed everything, because noticing kept her safe. The elevator rose to the top floor, the penthouse. Yasmina had cleaned rooms like this before, but she'd never been invited inside as a guest. The suite was enormous. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Bucharest, leather furniture, a dining table that could seat 12. Faisal poured her a glass of water without asking. "Sit," he said. She sat. "For the next 2 weeks," he began, "you'll accompany me to business meetings, dinners, and cultural events. You'll translate conversations, help me navigate social contexts, and ensure I don't offend anyone accidentally." "That's it?" Yasmina asked, skepticism coloring her voice. You just need me to talk? Faisal leaned back against the window, arms crossed. Language is never just words. It's context, nuance, trust. I need someone who understands both Arabic and Romanian culture. Someone who won't make me look like a fool. And you think I can do that? She gestured at herself. I'm a cleaner. I scrub toilets. I don't go to fancy dinners. You speak 3 languages, he said. You negotiated with a hospital receptionist in Arabic while switching to Romanian without hesitation. You stood your ground even when you had nothing. He paused. That's not the skill of a cleaner. That's the skill of a survivor. Yasmina's throat tightened. No one had ever said anything like that to her before. Why do you need a translator? She asked. You speak English. Most business here is in English. Not the kind of business I'm conducting, Faisal said. I'm meeting with Lebanese investors, Egyptian exporters, and Romanian officials who prefer their native tongue. I need someone who can move between worlds. And you think I can do that because I'm poor? The bitterness slipped out before she could stop it. Faisal's expression didn't change. I think you can do that because you've had to. People like you and me, we learn to read rooms. We learn to adapt. The difference is, I was born into money, and you were born into hunger, but the skill is the same. Yasmina hated that he was right. 3,000 euros, she said. Half up front. Done. He pulled out his phone, tapped the screen a few times, and within seconds her phone buzzed. A bank transfer notification, 1,500 euros. Real money, life-changing money. Yasmina stared at the screen, her hands shaking. First meeting is tonight, Faisal said. 6 o'clock. I'll send a car to pick you up. Wear something elegant. If you don't have anything, buy it. Consider it part of the job. I don't need charity, she said sharply. It's not charity, he replied, his tone even. It's a uniform. You wouldn't show up to a construction site without a hard hat. Don't show up to a diplomatic dinner in a dress that makes you uncomfortable. Yasmina wanted to argue, but he was right again. She hated that. The boutique was a mistake. Yasmina stood outside the glass doors, staring at mannequins draped in silk and lace, price tags that made her stomach turn. She'd never been inside a store like this. She bought her clothes from second-hand markets, mended them herself, wore them until they fell apart. But Faisal had transferred another 500 euros that morning with a text. For the dress. No arguments. She pushed the door open. The saleswoman looked her up and down, her smile polite but distant. Can I help you? I need a dress, Yasmina said. For a dinner. What's your budget? Yasmina hesitated. 500. The woman's smile warmed slightly. We have options. Follow me. An hour later, Yasmina stood in front of a mirror, barely recognizing herself. The dress was midnight blue, fitted at the waist, elegant without being revealing. It made her look older, more confident, like someone who belonged in Faisal's world. She paid in cash, watching the bills disappear with a mix of relief and dread. That evening, the car arrived exactly at 6. A sleek black sedan with tinted windows. The driver opened the door without a word, and Yasmina slid into the leather seat, feeling like an actress in someone else's life. Faisal was already inside. He glanced at her, and for the first time, his expression shifted. Not a smile, but something close. You look good, he said. I feel like a fraud, she admitted. You're not, he said. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. The dinner was at a private restaurant near Herăstrău Park, the kind of place that didn't advertise, where reservations were made months in advance. Yasmina had walked past it 100 times and never imagined she'd step inside. The host greeted Faisal by name, and they were led to a private room where 5 men in expensive suits waited. They stood when Faisal entered, shaking his hand with exaggerated warmth. Yasmina stood to the side, silent, until Faisal gestured for her to sit beside him. Gentlemen, he said in Arabic, this is Yasmina. She'll be translating for us tonight. The men nodded, their eyes flicking over her with interest. One of them, an older man with a thick beard, smiled. A Romanian who speaks Arabic, impressive. My grandmother is Lebanese, Yasmina said smoothly. I grew up with the language. The conversation began in Arabic, then shifted to Romanian, then back again. Yasmina translated seamlessly, her voice steady even as her pulse raced. She caught every nuance, every shift in tone, every unspoken implication. Faisal watched her closely, occasionally nodding in approval when she rephrased something to make it more diplomatic. The men were investors, Lebanese businessmen interested in Romanian real estate. They spoke in numbers and projections, but beneath the formalities, there was tension. One of them questioned Faisal's credentials, hinting that he seemed too young to be handling such large sums. Faisal's smile didn't waver. "Youth and inexperience are not the same thing," he said. "I've been managing portfolios since I was 16. Yasmina translated, softening the edge just enough to keep the conversation civil. By the end of the evening, the deal was tentatively agreed upon. Handshakes were exchanged, and the men left with promises to finalize the contracts within the week. When they were alone, Faisal exhaled slowly, leaning back in his chair. "You were perfect," he said. "I just translated," Yasmina replied. "No," he said. "You read the room. You knew when to soften my words and when to let them land hard. That's not translation. That's strategy." Yasmina looked down at her hands. She wasn't used to compliments. She wasn't used to being seen. "Why did they treat you like that?" she asked. "Like you were someone important?" Faisal's smile faded. "Because I am." "Who are you really?" she pressed. "You're not just a businessman." He met her gaze, his expression unreadable. "I'm someone who values discretion. And right now, I need you to trust me." "I don't trust easily," she said. "Good," he replied. "Neither do I." The car took them back through the city, the lights of Bucharest blurring past the windows. Yasmina felt exhausted, exhilarated, and deeply unsettled. She'd stepped into a world she didn't understand, and the man beside her was a locked door she couldn't open. When they reached her neighborhood, Faisal didn't comment on the crumbling buildings or the narrow streets. He simply said, "Same time tomorrow, another meeting." Yasmina nodded and stepped out of the car. As she walked toward her apartment, she felt his eyes on her back. She didn't turn around. Over the next week, Yasmina's life became a strange double existence. By day, she was still the cleaner, arriving at the restaurant before dawn, scrubbing floors, emptying trash, invisible to the diners who walked past her. By night, she was someone else entirely. She wore elegant dresses, sat beside Faisal at dinners with diplomats and investors, translated conversations worth millions of euros. She learned to recognize the subtle cues of power, the way men deferred to Faisal without him asking, the way waiters appeared the moment he glanced their way, the way his bodyguards moved, always close, always watching. And she learned that Faisal was more than he claimed. The first clue came during a meeting with a Romanian official. The man addressed Faisal as "Your Excellency," a title Faisal dismissed with a wave of his hand. "Just Faisal," he'd said, but the damage was done. Yasmina filed the moment away. The second clue was the way his phone rang constantly, messages appearing in Arabic script she couldn't read. He answered some, ignored most, but there was always tension in his jaw when he looked at the screen. The third clue was the way people whispered when he left a room. She caught fragments of conversations. Saudi, royalty, why is he here? And her suspicion solidified into certainty. Faisal al-Rashid was not a businessman, he was a prince, and he had lied to her. On the 8th day, Yasmina confronted him. They were in his suite preparing for another dinner. Faisal was adjusting his cufflinks, his expression distant when she spoke. "Why didn't you tell me?" He looked up. "Tell you what? That you're a prince." The silence that followed was suffocating. Faisal's expression didn't change, but something in his posture stiffened. "Who told you?" "No one had to," Yasmina said. "I have eyes. I have ears. You're not just some businessman. People bow to you. They call you Your Excellency. You have bodyguards who would die for you. So I'll ask again, why didn't you tell me?" Faisal set down his cufflinks and turned to face her fully. "Because it doesn't matter." "It matters to me," she said, her voice rising. "You hired me under false pretenses. You let me think—" "That you were working for a normal person," he interrupted. "That this was a simple job." "Yasmina, nothing about this was ever simple." "Then what is it?" Yasmina demanded. "Why are you really here? Why do you need a translator when you could hire anyone? Why me?" Faisal exhaled slowly, running a hand through his hair. For the first time, he looked tired, vulnerable. "Because I needed someone who wouldn't ask questions," he said. "Someone who needed the money badly enough to stay quiet. Someone who wouldn't recognize me. The words hit like a slap. So I was convenient, Yasmina said bitterly. A poor girl who wouldn't cause trouble. No, Faisal said sharply. You were real. Everyone in my life, everyone wants something from me. They smile, they bow, they call me Your Highness, but they're all waiting for me to make a mistake. You didn't know who I was, and you treated me like a person. Do you know how rare that is? Yasmina's anger wavered, but she held her ground. You still lied. I didn't lie, he said. I just didn't tell you everything. That's the same thing. Maybe, he admitted. But if I'd told you I was a prince, would you have taken the job? Yasmina hesitated. She wanted to say yes, but they both knew the truth. She would have run. She would have assumed it was too dangerous, too complicated, too far beyond her world. Why are you here? She asked quietly. Why Bucharest? Faisal looked out the window, his jaw tight. Because I'm running from an engagement I didn't agree to. Because my family expects me to marry a woman I've never loved. To secure alliances I don't believe in. Because for the past 3 years, I've been trying to prove I'm more than a title, and I'm failing. Yasmina's breath caught. She'd seen glimpses of this. The way he avoided certain phone calls, the tension in his shoulders when someone mentioned Saudi Arabia. But hearing it out loud made it real. You're hiding, she said. I'm surviving, he corrected. There's a difference. They stood in silence, the city sprawling below them. Yasmina felt the weight of his confession settling over her like a heavy coat. She thought of her own survival, the way she'd clawed her way through poverty, made herself invisible to stay safe, swallowed her pride to keep her siblings fed. Maybe they weren't so different after all. I should leave, she said finally. This isn't my world. I don't belong here. You belong wherever you choose to be, Faisal said. That's something I've never had. Yasmina didn't leave. She stayed through the 9th day, the 10th, the 11th. She told herself it was because of the money. She still had 4 days left on the contract, and she needed every euro. But deep down, she knew it was more than that. It was the way Faisal looked at her when he thought she wasn't watching. The way he listened when she spoke, as if her words mattered. The way he never made her feel small, even though his world was so much larger than hers. It was the way he made her feel seen. On the 12th day, everything changed. They were at a gallery opening, a private event for wealthy collectors. Yasmina stood beside Faisal, translating polite small talk, when a woman in a crimson dress approached. She was stunning, with sharp cheekbones and cold eyes. Faisal, she said in Arabic, her tone clipped. I didn't expect to see you here. Faisal's expression went carefully blank. Amira. The woman's gaze flicked to Yasmina, assessing her with a single glance. And who is this? My translator, Faisal said. Your translator, Amira repeated, her smile thin. How practical. Yasmina felt the insult before she understood it. This was the woman Faisal was supposed to marry, the one he was running from. I'll leave you two alone, Yasmina said, moving to step away. No, Faisal said quickly, his hand brushing her arm. Stay. Amira's smile turned sharper. Still playing the rebel, I see. Your family is looking for you, you know. They're not pleased. They're never pleased, Faisal said. They'll drag you home eventually, Amira said. You can't hide forever, and when you do come back, you'll marry me, just as planned. This little adventure of yours means nothing. Faisal's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Amira turned to leave, pausing to glance at Yasmina one last time. Enjoy your time with him, translator. But don't mistake proximity for importance. You're temporary. When she was gone, Yasmina felt like she'd been punched in the chest. I'm sorry, Faisal said quietly. She's right, Yasmina interrupted. She's right. I am temporary. This whole thing is temporary. I'm just the help. You're not? Yes, I am, Yasmina said, her voice breaking. I'm the girl you hired to make yourself feel normal. And when this is over, you'll go back to your palace, and I'll go back to scrubbing floors. That's the truth. Faisal caught her wrist gently as she turned to leave. Wait. Let go, Yasmina said, her voice trembling. Please. Not until you listen, he said. Amira is wrong. You're not temporary. You're not just the help. You're the only real thing that's happened to me in years. Yasmina's breath hitched. She wanted to believe him. She wanted it so badly it hurt. Then what am I? She asked. What is this? Faisal's hand slid from her wrist to her palm, his fingers curling around hers. I don't know, he admitted. But I know I don't want it to end. It has to end, Yasmina said. You're a prince. I'm a cleaner. This doesn't work. Why not? He challenged. Who decides that? Reality, she said. Your family, my life, the fact that in 2 days this contract ends and you'll disappear. I don't want to disappear, Faisal said. I want you to come with me. Yasmina froze. What? Come with me, he repeated. Not as a translator, not as an employee, as someone I care about, someone I need. You're insane, she whispered. I can't just leave. I have siblings, responsibilities, a life. Bring them, he said. I'll make sure they're taken care of. I'll make sure you're all safe. You can't fix everything with money, Yasmina said. I know, he said, but I can try. And I'd rather try with you than live the rest of my life wondering what could have been. Yasmina pulled her hand away, her chest tight with emotions she couldn't name. Fear, hope, anger, longing. I need time, she said. I need to think. Take all the time you need, Faisal said. But know this, I'm not going anywhere without an answer. That night, Yasmina lay awake in her tiny apartment staring at the ceiling. Her siblings slept beside her, their breathing soft and steady. She thought of her mother, who had worked herself to death trying to give them a better life. She thought of her grandmother, who had survived war and loss and still found ways to smile. She thought of Faisal standing in that gallery, asking her to risk everything. And she thought of the girl she used to be, the one who believed love was a luxury she couldn't afford. Maybe it was time to stop surviving and start living. On the 14th day, Yasmina made her choice. She arrived at Faisal's suite early, her heart pounding. He opened the door, his expression guarded, as if bracing for rejection. I can't leave, she said before he could speak. Not yet. My siblings need stability. My grandmother needs care. I can't just abandon them. Faisal's face fell, but he nodded. I understand. But, Yasmina continued, I don't want to lose you either. His eyes widened. I'll come visit, she said. Give me 6 months. Let me make sure my family is secure. Let me finish what I started here. And then, if you still want me, I'll come to you. If I still want you? Faisal stepped closer, his voice low. Yasmina, I've wanted you since the moment you argued with that hospital receptionist. I've wanted you every day since. 6 months won't change that. Yasmina felt tears prick her eyes. You don't know that. Yes, I do, he said. Because for the first time in my life, I'm choosing something for myself, and I'm choosing you. He cupped her face in his hands, his thumb brushing away a tear she hadn't realized had fallen. I'll wait, he said. I'll wait as long as it takes. Yasmina kissed him then, soft, tentative, full of everything she couldn't say out loud. When they pulled apart, she was smiling through her tears. 6 months, she whispered. 6 months, he agreed. Faisal left Bucharest the next day. Yasmina stood on her balcony, watching the city wake up, and felt the weight of her decision settle over her. It was terrifying. It was exhilarating. It was hers. Over the following months, they spoke every day, video calls late at night, messages that made her laugh, photos of places he wanted to show her. Faisal kept his promise. He arranged for her grandmother's surgery, set up a fund for her siblings' education, and never once made her feel like she owed him anything. And Yasmina kept hers. She worked, saved, prepared. She told her siblings about Faisal, about the life waiting for her across the ocean. They were scared, but they trusted her. They always had. 6 months to the day, Yasmina boarded a plane to Riyadh. Faisal was waiting at the airport, flanked by bodyguards, but smiling like a man who'd just won the world. When he saw her, he didn't care about protocol or cameras or the scandal it would cause. He crossed the terminal and pulled her into his arms. You came, he said, his voice rough with emotion. I told you I would, Yasmina said. I know, he said. But I didn't dare believe it. Yasmina pulled back just enough to look at him. I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. Faisal kissed her, and in that moment, the world fell away. There was no palace, no protocol, no past. Just two people who had chosen each other against all odds. And for Yasmina Dobre, the girl who had spent her life making herself invisible, that was everything.